Taurus, Amanda here with Unseen Hands Healing. Welcome to your mid-June reading, check-in reading here. I'm assisted by the lovely Coconut over here this week because I'm dog sitting. I'm using the Next World Tarot because I really felt like if you watched my Gemini New Moon reading in the beginning of June, I felt like this whole moon cycle is really a portal, an opening into a new world, a chance to start something totally new, to end an old cycle and begin something else. Whether that really is a whole new frontier for you or just a new way of walking in the world. So the Next World Tarot has the messages that we need for moving forward through this opening into this complete rebirth. So that is echoed here. All of these readings have really had a central message, which is that message of awakening and transformation, to be able to be born again or born anew into this new world. And your reading here is no different. We start with judgment. Each of the readings have their own nuance, of course, because everybody's going through, the messages are coming through for specific groups of people. But your message, like many of the others at this time in mid-June, is judgment. Judgment is the card of awakening. Some people say it's Judgment Day because it is that raising from the dead. It is that second chance, this new life. You know, once you've been dead and buried and you think it's all gone, and then something comes through and reawakens that phoenix rising. In this card in particular, there's a lot happening. It's almost like people have taken to the streets for this revolution, this protest. But there's this person right down in the front, in the foreground, and her eyes are just welling up with tears as she's looking up, and she's having this internal moment of realization, a real internal moment of revelation. And it's beautiful. It's like this really quiet moment that is very internal in the midst of a lot going on, but that has massive repercussions. It's like that one internal revelation that one person has inside of themselves. That personal awakening has massive reverb out into the collective, because we are all one at the end of the day. So your personal awakening has ripple effects that you may not even be able to see. And that's what I'm feeling here. It's like in all of the things that are happening, this person is having this personal awakening. I'm also so drawn for you in particular in this card. It's like, as soon as I've drawn it a few times now in these readings, even though I shuffle like crazy in between and clear the decks and renew the energy, this is a moment of awakening. This really is that judgment day time. So it makes sense that this card keeps coming. And what I was drawn to for you is there's a tiny sign in the back here that says, see that really tiny thing right there? It says, I can't breathe. And then I realized it was on this big white sheet, this big banner as well. I can't breathe. There's a message for you in this, Taurus. That personal internal awakening will come from the place when you come to a moment where you're like, I just can't breathe here. It's time to breathe into the space where you feel that claustrophobia, where you feel, I can't breathe here, it's time to expand. It's a time for that to raise from the dead, to rise again like the phoenix. Okay, so we start off with pretty intense energy here with this Judgment Day, this awakening. And you're awakening to something that needs to close. Right? Something is ending here with the Ten of Wands. And the next card that's coming out is the Sun. Such a gorgeous card in this deck. This child with his the colors are so rich. And it's the happiest card in the tarot, is what a lot of people say. You know, it's the card of happiness. And you can see that here. This child is looking up at the sun and pointing and has this happy look on her face. It's like she's pointing up at the sun and she's realizing, oh, you know, and the Sun card is similar to the Judgment in terms of awakening, because it's like you go through the dark night of the moon and then the sun comes out and suddenly you can see all around you. Suddenly everything is illuminated and you go, oh, okay, got it. And it's a time of illumination, and that illumination is leading you towards your happiness and towards joy. I mean, these sunflowers are blooming, they're all facing the sun. It's like everybody's turning towards the light, towards that happiness, and moving in that direction. And so in order to move towards that happiness, something has to close. The 10, you know, in the tarot, we move through the minor arcana of, for example, the suit of wands. You're moving from 1 to 10. That's the journey. So you start with 1, you move through all the numbers in sequence. By the time you get to the 10, you've gathered 10 wands, and it's actually time to put them down. You've been through that journey. That journey took you where you needed to go, and that's a beautiful thing. And now it's time to put down the wands, end this cycle. I always the image I always get with the 10 of Wands is like, you've got all of these wands and they're all sticks, and now they're just fuel for a much larger fire. So you thought maybe that you were gathering these wands or these sticks to start building something, and you realize the whole time you were just gathering them to fuel an entire new fire for your soul with the Sun here. So once you realize that, you drop all the wands that you've spent all this time gathering, and you commemorate your journey with this bonfire, and let that fire in your soul fuel a new journey, the start of a new cycle for you. So something needs to close out. It's also interesting in this card in particular, we see someone sitting in front of their record collection. And so with that, I kept getting the image of a record turning. So again, that's reiterating the closing of a cycle for you here, Taurus. Something that has been like turning for a long time. It's like it's time for a new record. You know, the time with this record has ended. And I'm actually seeing that this person knows that. There's a very knowing look on this person's face. This is a card of Saturn in Sagittarius. Whenever we are dealing with Saturn, we're talking about lessons and cycles and things coming to completion. And that is, in fact, the word that the Next World Tarot associates with this card, completion. So this record collection maybe is complete, or the time for listening to this one record over and over and over is finished. It's time to put it back and get a new record. And this person knows it. Also, can't help but notice that the Sun is here in the background in what looks like a mirror. Wow, this is deep actually. This sun mirror in this person's house is reflecting a bunch of frames, picture frames on the opposite wall. And of course, we can't see any of the images in that, but we can imagine all of those frames might be, you know, family members, friends, whatever. So Taurus, for you, this could be a major, I don't know, I'm going to hold that up so that you can get a look at what I'm seeing here in the frame of the sun. See that? All those frames. So maybe what you realize in this realization moment of the sun has something to do with all these frames on your wall. You know, Saturn in Sagittarius, we're looking at your, you know, I just saw 1111. Okay, so for some of you, this Saturn in Sag is speaking. Also, the candle just went out over there. Okay, wow. Lots for you here, Taurus. The candle went out, the cycle complete. For some of you, if you have Saturn in Sagittarius, especially, you need to dive into that placement. Go speak to an astrologer, see if you can get some more insight there in your specific natal chart. And by the way, if you don't know, just go to astro.com, type in your birth info. You'll have a whole rabbit hole to go down. But there's something about the light of the sun reflects a mirror for you in terms of maybe the people that you have surrounded yourself with or the journey that you've been through in your life thus far. It's like causing you to reflect on these memories that you've got framed up. And it's like understanding how those structures have served you up until this point, and then knowing where you need to go next. And what of those frames, I'm just like, lately all I can see is like the Four of Wands and the structure of that framework that needs to rebuild. That's what we're in right now. And so that's reiterated for me in particular, that all those frames is a sign for me about the Four of Wands, like frame. So there's some framework that's coming to a close with this cycle, and it's time to build some sort of new framework. And that might have to do with the people you surround yourself with. That might have to do with old cycles from your past, because all those frames are representing memories to me. So maybe some sort of cycles, ways that you've been doing things that are based on past things. It's time to close that out and start something new. But I can tell you that whatever, and again, remember this message of I can't breathe. So if there are things that are sort of cluttering your energy from the past, it's like this is sort of a breaking point moment of like, that's got to go. Some certain things need to go to make room for this cycle to complete and for you to move towards true joy and true happiness with this sun. And it's like, again, with the frames and the memories, and then we have the child here in the sun. There's something about going back to your past, something about completing a cycle from the past, almost so that the child inside of you can start something new from true joy and true illumination out in the light of day. It's lovely. Taurus, we are going to take a little bit of clarity here from the Octospaman deck. It's just a fun, rather dark, sarcastic deck that I happen to really enjoy. I think it'll give us another message here for you. If you'd like to dive deeper into these 3 energies, I am going to do an extended reading. So you can follow the link below. That'll take you over to Vimeo. And we'll take clarity cards on all of this, these 3 general energies, see if we can get a more specific story out of all of this. So if this is resonating for you and you'd like to dive a little deeper, that extended reading is an option for you to do that. Okay, what is the message for Taurus with this spread here, mid-June 2019? What is the message for Taurus? Again, with the sarcasm. Never forgive. All right, obviously this is a sarcastic message. For those of you that don't get sarcasm, I'm going to help you out with that, okay? This person, hands behind the back, taking a very stubborn stance here with their legs about, I am never going to forgive. And the problem with that is, that means all of these knives just stay stuck in themselves, really. So, you know, I'm sure you've heard this phrase of, pardon the noise, got to keep the windows open, it's just too hot not to. Okay, so you've heard this phrase of forgiving somebody is taking the hook out of your own heart. And that's being reflected here. You know, in order for you to stop carrying around all of these knives, maybe from this past framework, from all of these memories that you carry, maybe from some sort of family, something about your upbringing here with the child, and the feelings of memories from the past and the cycle that needs to complete. Okay, maybe the awakening moment here, I can't breathe. It's like all of this is weighing on you. Maybe the awakening, this moment of judgment, is realizing how to forgive. And realizing, maybe you need to realize that you haven't forgiven. Maybe you think that you have, but you actually haven't. And so forgiveness is the thing that you realize is causing you to feel like you can't breathe, or causing you to not be able to move on from this old cycle. And so you begin to remove those swords, remove those knives that are stuck in you, healing old wounds, and then moving towards your joy here with the sun. You know, I'm thinking so much about forgiveness these days and what it really means, because I feel like I've had a lot of people coming to me talking about forgiveness, like they need to forgive someone, or they need to forgive themselves for things that they've done in their past. And so it gets, you know, as I'm trying to find ways to advise others on this and talk to folks that come to me about forgiveness, the thing I keep coming back to is really about acceptance. You know, because sometimes forgiveness can feel like you're letting somebody, again, that thing of like you're not letting someone off the hook, you're taking the hook out of your own heart. I think that's really, really true. But a lot of times the resistance to forgiveness, you know, this like, never forgive, the resistance to that comes from feeling like it's not fair for that person to get let off of the hook of whatever it is they did. So reframing forgiveness as not necessarily letting anybody off the hook or excusing anything that anybody did, including yourself, your past self, your parents, your friends, your lovers, whatever. It's more so about stepping back and taking the wide view and seeing that the actions of the past all led up to where you are now, and are all contributing to the growth that is necessary to move you towards your future. So it's when you take that long view and you see that everything played a part, even the really painful stuff, usually especially the really painful stuff, that's when you can invite in acceptance. At least for me. That's when I am able to invite in acceptance and say, okay, that hard thing is something I had to go through because it was part of my larger growth, and I wouldn't be here if I had never gone through that. Or that choice that I made that I can't forgive myself for, if I had never done that, it wouldn't have led to X, Y, and Z. So sort of taking that long view can add to a sense of peace and acceptance of the way things are. And that, to me, that acceptance, that very deep, profound acceptance and trust in the journey of your own life, that all of those things had to happen to lead you where you ultimately need to go and the experiences you need to go through, that kind of trust brings real peace, and that's when you start to take the swords out. That's when you can start to take the swords out of yourself. And that really is the process of completion of this Ten of Wands. Laying down that burden of all those wands you've been carrying around, all these swords you've been staying stuck in you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I was just wondering if maybe there was 10. There's 9. So the 9 is almost at the 10. It's at that moment where you, and again, actually that makes sense for this card of resistance with never forgive. You're at that 9, you're holding on, you know, it's like, no, I'm holding on to these swords. I'm not going to forgive whatever. And then you get to the 10 and you realize, okay, I can drop these burdens that I've been holding. I can drop this, complete this cycle, and start anew. And that is the awakening, that you can't actually breathe with these swords stuck in you. All right, Taurus. Wow. That is your reading for mid-June. Again, if this resonated with you and you want to dive deeper, I'm about to pull a bunch of clarity cards on these energies. So you can click the link below, follow me over to Vimeo, and we will get down with that. But if you're good where you are, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do click that like button, share, subscribe to my channel, and we will stay connected moving forward into July. Take care.